Hey, I'm Yao Guan, a third-class eunuch of the Inner Court. I served during the Jiajing Emperor's middle years, when the court feared the dark more than daylight. I carried a secret that could break a dynasty. Lamp oil bit my nose that night. If you stay with me, judge my choices without mercy. The drum at the Meridian Gate struck the second watch. The Forbidden City shrank into cold breath and frost. In the Hall of Eternal Longevity, the Emperor slept behind a thick silk curtain. Two senior maids stood at the foot of the imperial bed. They were quiet, too quiet for a normal change of incense. I held the ledger of night rotations. My fingers felt stiff from the cold and from what I knew would happen before dawn. Something in the hall felt off. The brazier had shifted 2 fingers to the left. That told me a hand had tested the floor panel beneath the bed earlier. A planned step, not a mistake. The Emperor's night taster, a boy of 15, waited outside the inner screen with a covered bowl of pear broth and ground minerals. He was new. I had trained him that afternoon to bow at the third step and speak only if asked. He had soft eyes. He watched every move I made, searching for a rule he had not yet learned. The rope was already in place. The elder of the two maids was called Shuer, not her birth name. No one used birth names inside the walls. She served linens, soot, and bedding. She mattered tonight because her task put her hands on the curtain rings. The other maid wiped lacquer trays for the alchemical pills. Jiajing trusted pills more than people by then. He kept Daoist masters near and ordered girls to gather dew before sunrise. I recorded the girls in my ledger, and I heard their sobs after drills. I heard many things that never reached the outer court. Exactly a year earlier, on the first snow, I had entered the hall for the first time as a night scribe. My mentor, Old Rin, placed the ledger in my hands. He told me not to look at faces. Only hands matter, he said. Hands carry orders, poison, mercy, and keys. He named Empress Fang in a whisper. She was the law in the inner palace. Empress Fang was the emperor's wife, older than most consorts, direct when others hid behind silk. She mattered because every punishment inside these walls needed her seal. That was the rule. Oldrin made me repeat it. That night I repeated it again without sound. Back to the Hall of Eternal Longevity. Shua slid her fingers up the curtain ring. She paused. The second maid kept her head low and set down a tray of balm. I heard a scrape, quick and small, from under the bed. The Emperor shifted in his sleep and coughed. I signaled the taster to hold. A shadow moved near the doorpost. Not a sentry. Too careful. I kept my face blank and stepped closer to the ledger table. Someone had moved the brazier. I opened the ledger and turned a page. Nothing in that book could save me if I misread this moment. The secret I carried throbbed at the base of my throat. I had written false names 2 months earlier to protect one girl from the due ranks. That choice pulled me into a river that did not stop. The Emperor's obsession with elixirs had grown. So had the fear around him. The palace guile thickened each season. Men spoke to the floor. Women learned to cry without sound. The taster coughed into his sleeve. I lifted a hand to silence him. Shua raised the curtain a span. Her other hand vanished inside. I saw the flash of a cord. Thin, strong. Curtain rope could strangle a man without leaving a deep wound if pulled clean and fast. I had learned that from old Ren stories. But stories end. Nights do not. We were not alone at that door. The screen shifted again. A figure in gray stood in the narrow dark. She was taller than a maid. She wore a consort's hairpin, plain but real. I recognized her face from procession days. She was a favored consort in the Pure Palace. She mattered because the Emperor drank her tea more often than others that month. Her presence meant the plot reached higher than Shuer's hands. My jaw locked. If I stepped in now, I would condemn myself. If I stepped back, I would condemn a sleeping ruler and my own soul. At that same moment, the Emperor turned in his sleep. He muttered about Cinnabar and a star ritual. He worked through rites at night. He gripped chance in his dreams. He believed the elixirs would lengthen his years. The smell of mercury hung in the room, sweet and harsh. I felt it on my tongue. The bell would end more than sleep. Now, Shua whispered. She pulled. The other maid pulled. The curtain rope tightened. The Emperor's breath rasped. His hands shot up too late. I raised my ledger without thinking and let it fall. The slab of wood hit the brazier. Coals scattered. Sparks jumped to the curtain. The Emperor cried out. The taster screamed. The gray figure lunged forward. I drove my shoulder into the screen and shouted for the guard. Exactly 3 months earlier, Old Ren had told me how plots end. Not with knives, he said. With tongues. He explained the chain. A whisper, an order, a seal, a confession. He told me to listen for the first voice that turns the story. Names matter, he said. Tonight, I heard my own name echo back at me in the hall. Back to the hall. The curtain smoked. Shuer lost her grip. The Emperor tumbled from the bed onto the floorboards. His forehead cracked against the frame. Blood ran down his nose and onto the lacquer. I dragged the brazier away with my sleeve. The taster knelt and shielded the Emperor with the pear bowl. The gray consort stood frozen for a beat, then fled into the side room. Someone had planned for silence. I had brought noise. Boots hammered the outer corridor. A captain of the night guard rushed in with 2 men. He was Lin Yong, a hard man from the northern garrisons. He mattered because he answered directly to the Empress when the Emperor slept. Lin Yong saw the Emperor on the floor and went pale. He drew his blade against Shuer and the second maid. They dropped to their knees and pressed their heads to the boards. The Emperor wheezed and clutched his throat. I pressed a folded cloth to his forehead. My hand shook. This ledger could cost me my head. Seal the doors, Lin Yong snapped. He looked at me. Who touched the curtain? I opened my mouth. My jaw would not work. I tasted iron from the smoke. I raised the ledger and pointed at the ring, at the rope, at Shuer's wrists. Lin Yong bound them fast. He sent a runner for the Empress. He kept me in the room, beside the Emperor, where every breath sounded like a verdict. That same evening, a whisper came from the side room. I turned. The gray consort stared at me through the screen. Her eyes were clear. She shook her head a tiny fraction. A warning, or a plea. I had no words for her. The Emperor groaned and tried to stand. I studied him. He slapped my hand away out of habit, then clutched it again when his knees buckled. He was heavy. He smelled of musk and metal. Another step, and I would be in too deep. The Empress arrived fast. Empress Fang swept in with 2 matrons and 4 guards. She was tall, straight-backed, and exact. Her eyes took in everything at once. She was the Emperor's wife. She held the seal for inner arrests. She mattered most now because truth inside these walls wore her stamp. She knelt, touched the Emperor's brow, and stood. Who did this? She asked. Lin Yong spoke first. 2 maids, Your Majesty. Rope on the curtain. Empress Fang's gaze flicked to me. You are Yao Guang, ledger keeper this watch. Yes, Your Majesty. You raised the alarm? Yes, Your Majesty. She nodded once. You will read names from the ledger. Every person on duty. Then you will give me the ledger. Her voice held no edge. It did not need one. She turned to Lin Yong. Seal the pure palace and the due quarters. She paused. No one enters or leaves. The drum at the gate marked the 3rd watch. The night had split open. I looked down at the ledger. My false name sat there under fresh ink. 1 entry hid a girl I had promised to protect. 1 entry could burn me alive if read against the wrong hour. I wet my lips. I began to read. Which name saves a life and which ends it? I stood with the ledger open and the Empress watching. The brazier hissed. The Emperor's breath rasped. The room smelled of smoke and medicine. I read the first name, then the next, steady and slow. I reached the line I had forged. I spoke it cleanly, as if I had known that person since birth. Empress Fang did not blink. She held out her hand. I passed her the ledger. My palm left a damp print on the cover. 1 wrong syllable and I vanish. Lin Yong dragged Shuer and the other maid to their feet. He tied their elbows with white cord. The Emperor clutched the edge of the bed frame. The taster held the bowl and tried not to cry. Empress Fang turned to her matrons. Summon Physician Su. Bring warm wine. Close the shutters. She faced me again. Yao Guang, stay by the door. You saw what happened. You will repeat it before witnesses. Orders moved like stones falling. Physician Su arrived within moments. He was a thin man with a steady hand. He served as chief of the inner court clinic. He mattered because his report could name poison where there was none, and no one would argue. He pressed the emperor's wrist, lifted his eyelids, and shone a small lamp to check his pupils. No poison, he said. Bruising on the brow. Strain on the throat. He must not speak. He applied a salve. The emperor nodded once and closed his eyes. His fingers twitched against the blankets. She still held her secret. The gray consort lingered behind the inner screen. Empress Fang saw the outline of a hairpin and the bead cord at her waist. Consort of the pure palace, the empress said. Her voice stayed even. Step forward. The consort obeyed, eyes down. I had seen her from afar during evening processions. She was called consortin. She mattered because the emperor took tea in her rooms the past week. Tonight she mattered because the curtain rope had been set within reach of her hand. This is a night for facts, Empress Fang said. Tell me what you saw. Consort bowed. I came with balm for the emperor's cough. I stood by the screen. The maids moved the curtain. The brazier fell. I saw smoke. I called for help. Her voice did not shake. She kept her gaze on the floor. Lin Yong's jaw set. Empress Fang turned away and faced the bound maids. Who ordered you? She asked. Shuor lifted her head. Her lip bled from a bite. She looked not at the empress, but at me, once, fast, like a knife flick. No one, she said. We acted to save the palace. Save it from what? The question lodged in my chest. Empress Fang raised a hand. Take them to the punishment office. Guard them well. No talk between them. Lin Yong bowed and moved. The emperor stirred. He tried to speak, but Physician Su pressed him back and shook his head. Rest, your majesty, Su whispered. Let us carry the noise. 3 months later, every whisper would matter more. At dawn the next day, the empress said, we conduct inquiry. She pointed at the ledger in her hand. I will check these names at first light. Her eyes slid to consort, and you will remain within your apartments until I send for you. She paused. No visitors from the pure palace. The room quieted. The taster eased the lampwick lower. I followed Lin Yong into the corridor, then to the punishment office, a square room with stone floors and a barrel of water in the corner. The air held old vinegar and iron. 2 Jinhui officers waited inside. One wore a rank sash with a silver hook. I had seen that sash only twice. The officer stepped forward. I am Commandant he of the Embroidered Guard. He served the Ministry of Justice, but walked his own road. He mattered because he took statements that turned to charges in the outer court. He looked at me as if I were a line on a page. You found the rope? I saw it drawn, Commandant, I answered. I struck the brazier. Good, he said. You will speak those words again under oath. The maids were tied to frames. Shuor kept her eyes on the wall. The second maid began to shake. She was young. She had scrubbed lacquer trays last month while I counted spoons. I knew her face, but not her name. Commandant, he signaled to a clerk. Record, he said. He nodded to Lin Yong. Proceed. This is where truth changes shape. Lin Yong asked the question again. Who ordered you? The young maid broke first. We acted together, she said. We decided. We swore in the due quarters. Her words spilled fast. He bleeds girls for his elixirs. He takes the small ones away at night. She sobbed. We wanted him to sleep and not wake. The room held still. Shuor's jaw clenched. No names, she said to the young one. Commandant, he lifted a hand, and the clerk wrote. He did not call for the tools. He did not need them yet. He looked at me. You keep the due quarters ledger? Yes, Commandant. Then you know the rosters for due harvest. I swallowed. Yes. He held out his palm. Bring that book by the next watch. My ink could not hide today. Exactly 2 months earlier, I had forged the due quarters ledger for the first time. A laundry woman named Aunt Zhao had begged me in the corridor. My niece is 13, she said. Her name is Mingyu. She cannot swallow the pills. She fainted twice. They will send her to the hall. She pressed a hairpin into my hand. Not a bribe. A token. Please, she said. You write the names. Give her any task, but do. I stood at the wooden table in the small records room. The lamplight stunned my eyes. The reed pen scratched. I moved Mingyu tonight, sweeping for 1 week, then 2, then 4. I wrote a false name in her line and pushed the real ink into the margin. I told myself it was a small change in a small book. Back to the punishment office. Seal the due quarters. Commandant, he said to Lin Yong. Count heads. Bring the supervisors. He looked at me again. And bring the book. His face did not change. He could smell lies. He did not hurry. He did not slow down. The seal pressed, and my lies woke up. At dawn the next day, the Empress entered the punishment office. She had slept in a chair, I heard, near the Emperor's bed. She wore a plain robe and the jade seal cord at her waist. She nodded to Commandant He. Report. He summarized, rope on the curtain, 2 maids bound, a consort present, no poison. Then he repeated the young maid's words about the due. Empress Fang's face did not move. Bring the due quarters ledger, she said. I placed it on the table. The cover felt rough. The leather had a cut near the corner that I knew by touch. She opened it. She ran a finger down the columns. She checked dates and shifts. She marked 2 lines with her nail. Who wrote these entries? She asked. I did, I said. Why is this hand different on the night watch of the 20th day? Her finger tapped my false name. And why is this girl's name missing here and here? Heat climbed my neck. The room watched. I kept my voice low. A mistake, Your Majesty. I corrected it the next day. I pointed to the margin where I had tucked the real name on one date. It was a thin lifeline. It might hold. It might not. Commandant, he leaned in. The margin shows fear, he said. Not error. He looked at Empress Fang. We can test this. I waited for the blow. Empress Fang closed the book. Test it, she said. Count the girls. Ask for Mingyu. Ask her aunt. Do it before noon. She lifted her chin. But first, the attempt on the Emperor. She turned to Shuer. Tell me why you said you acted to save the palace. Shua's voice came out flat. He uses girls for his pills. He prays for long life in one hall and takes it from another. We do his washing. We see the stains. We wanted an end. She stared at the floor. We used the rope because it was there. Their reasons cut more than blades. Empress Fang stood very still. You will be judged, she said. Your words will be written. She looked at me. Yao Guang, you will guide the count at the due quarters. You will bring Mingyu if she exists. If she is gone, you will say when and how. Her tone did not harden. It did not soften. The clerk sanded the ink. Lin Yong bowed and left to seal more doors. Commandant, he closed his case box. The Emperor slept under Physician Su's care. Consort and waited in her rooms under guard. The palace breathed in short, fast pulls. I thought I had saved a life with a pen. Now the pen pointed back at my throat. We crossed the covered walk toward the due quarters. Frost clung to the stone seams. The sun sat low and weak. My breath smoked. Lin Yong walked ahead with 4 guards. Commandant, he kept pace beside me, quiet, eyes forward. I carried the ledger under my arm. My sleeves smelled of last night's smoke. The due quarters gate stood shut. 2 matrons waited, pale and stiff. The elder was Matron Chiu. She ran the due schedules. She mattered because she could move a girl's life with 1 word. Beside her stood Supervisor Wei from housekeeping. He held the store keys. He mattered now because his stores had ropes, braziers, and herbs. He had a habit of licking his lips before he lied. 1 wrong count would crack open everything. Lin Yong lifted the seal token. The guards slid the bolt and swung the gate. We stepped into the yard. Girls stood in 2 lines. Some held cloths. Some trembled. The air carried the sour trace of old blood and alum. The water trough steamed in the cold. I opened the ledger and began. Read each name. Step forward. Speak, Commandant, he said. His voice did not rise or fall. I called the first 5 names. The girls spoke. I marked them. I called the next 5. A cough. A sob choked off. I kept my voice steady. We reached the 10th name. Mingyu, I said. No one moved. Aunt Zhao, the laundry woman, stood at the end of the line. Her hands were red from soap and frost. She raised her eyes. She did not speak. My mouth dried. I read Mingyu again, slower. A thin girl stepped out. She kept her chin low. "Here," she said. Her voice scraped. I stared. It was Mingyu. She was smaller than I remembered. Her lip was split. She kept one hand under her robe as if it hurt to move it. She looked past me at Aunt Zhao. The list would decide who died. Commandant, he watched my face. "You know her," he said. "She is Laundry Aunt Zhao's niece," I answered. "She was moved from duty to sweeping last month." Matron Chiu folded her arms. "She returned to do last week," she said. "By order of the Daoist office." Her tone stayed flat. "I sent her at dusk 2 nights ago. She fainted. We brought her back." "Who signed the order?" Empress Fang's voice came from behind us. She had followed without sound. Her plain robe brushed the frost. 2 matrons walked with her. Matron Chiu bowed. Daoist Master Lu's clerk. A wax mark with a crane. Empress Fang held out her hand. Chiu passed a slip of bamboo with a smear of red wax. The Empress studied it. "Fetch the clerk," she said to Lin Yong. "Bring Master Lu if needed." Lin Yong bowed and left at once. Another name might pull me under. We finished the count. 2 girls were missing. Chiu said they had been sent to the alchemy hall before dawn. I wrote their names. Aunt Zhao rubbed her hands and stared at the ground. Empress Fang turned to Mingyu. "Who moved your duty last month?" she asked. Mingyu's eyes flicked to me. She swallowed. "The scribe," she said. "He found me in the corridor when I fell with the pail. He wrote a change." The yard held its breath. "Commandant," he did not look at me. "When did you return to do?" he asked. 3 days ago, she said. "Night shift." I carried bowls. I did not drink. Her voice shook. "The master said the emperor needed strong essences. The younger ones must stay longer." The truth stood naked in cold air. Exactly a year earlier, I had seen a bowl like that for the first time. A junior girl clutched it while a priest in a gray sash watched. She whispered that her stomach burned. The priest told her to stand still and breathe through her nose. Aunt Zhao wrung her rag and faced the wall. I wrote the time in the margin and walked away. I learned to walk away. Back to the yard. Empress Fang spoke to Mingyu again. "You may rest today," she said. "You will not return to the hall until I say so." She signaled to a matron. "Take her to the clinic. Guard her door." Mingyu nodded once and stepped back to Aunt Zhao, who held her sleeve and did not cry. A small mercy still carried weight here. Lin Yong returned with a clerk in brown. The man shook before he bowed. "I serve under Master Lu," he said. "I stamp orders for ritual supplies." He mattered because he signed the slips that dragged these girls across the yard. Empress Fang showed him the bamboo. "Is this your mark?" she asked. He peered, licked his lips, and nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty." His eyes slid away. "Why this girl?" she asked. "The master asked for 10 younger ones," he said. We sent a list. The due quarters returned names. I stamped them. He shifted his weight. The master said the emperor was weak. He asked for stronger balance. The words tasted of metal. "Commandant," he stepped forward. "Who brought you the names?" he asked. "Supervisor Wei," the clerk said at once. Wei's mouth opened and closed. Sweat beaded at his hairline. "He is our runner," the clerk hurried. He told me the list came from Matron Chiu. He turned to Chiu. I stamped what he brought. The chain now showed 3 links. Empress Fang looked at Wei. He bit his lip. "I collected the bamboo from Chiu," he said. "I did not choose the names. I run between stores and offices." His hands trembled. "I do not handle ropes or pills. Who told you to bring Mingyu back to do?" "Commandant," he asked. Wei glanced at me. It was quick but clear. "The ledger showed her as due duty," he said. I followed the book. He was right. My forgery had set that line. Even after I moved her once, the row still marked her as due class. The next clerk had returned her to the old slot. My small change had not saved her. It had placed her back in reach. The pen had cut a real line. Empress Fang stared at me. Her eyes were calm. "You changed her duty. You left a trace in the margin." "Why?" she asked. I told the truth. "I saw her faint," I said. "I wrote a week of sweeping. I should have filed a full transfer. I did not. I kept my voice low. That is my fault." Aunt Zhao looked up. He helped her, she said. She would be gone by now without that change. Her words rushed out. I begged him. He moved her once. No one else listened. Empress Fang nodded once. Record that, she said to the clerk. She faced Matron Chiu. From today, I approve every due list myself. Every girl's name comes to my table first. Her tone turned hard. Any change without my seal is treason in the inner palace. A timekeeper struck the third note of the horse watch. The yard shivered. Commandant, he turned to me. We return to the punishment office, he said. You will write a statement. Then you will take us to the Hall of Eternal Longevity to retrace the rope. The rope still waited for our hands. We walked back through the corridor. The smell of millet porridge drifted from the kitchens. Servants kept their eyes down. 2 Jinui passed carrying a chest. I heard the clink of iron inside. Empress Fang moved like a blade through cloth, quick and clean. She did not touch the walls. At that same evening, the emperor woke fully and sent for Physician Su. He demanded to speak, they said, but his throat sealed when he tried. He could write. He asked for a brush. Su gave him one. The emperor wrote one character on white silk, who. Back to the punishment office. Shuer sat tied to the frame. Blood had dried on her mouth. The young maid breathed in small bursts. Commandant, he set out a mat and placed brushes and paper on a low table. Yao Guang, he said, write what you saw. Then we will hear them again. He pointed to the maids. I bent and began. I wrote from the moment the curtain lifted to the slap of my ledger on the brazier. I wrote the smell of lamp oil, the sound of rope against ring, the weight of the emperor's hand. I wrote consort in at the screen. I wrote the first cry and the first foot in the corridor. I signed my name. My hand shook toward the end. The ink blotted once. A single blot can change a story. Commandant, he took my paper. He read fast. Empress Fang watched his face. We search the pure palace next, he said. We will ask consort and what she did in that room. We will ask which maid opened that screen. The air cooled. 3 months later, I would stand outside a cell and hear a noble woman beg for water. I would know the sound of a hairpin striking stone. I would hate that sound. I would hear it at night when the drum stopped. Back to the present. I lifted my eyes to Shuer. Why did you look at me when they asked for names? I said quietly. She smiled, slow and tired. Because you listen, she said. You hear what others pretend not to hear. She swallowed. You know what happens in the due rooms. You know why we pulled that rope. Her words walked straight to the bone. Bring consort in, Empress Fang ordered. We close one question before noon. She looked at me again. Yao Guang, you will stand in the hall when she speaks. You will hold the ledger. I held the book. It felt heavier than wood. They brought consort N into the punishment office before noon. Her hair was neat. Her face was calm. 2 matrons stood at her elbows. Empress Fang sat at the low table. Commandant, he stood to her right. Lin Yong blocked the door. I held the ledger. The air in the room was cool and dry. I could hear the water barrel drip. One door still hid the truth. Consort of the pure palace, Empress Fang said, tell us every step. Her tone was flat. Consort and bowed. At the second watch I brought bombs, she said. I stood behind the screen. The maids raised the curtain. Smoke rose. I called for the guard. That is all. Commandant, his eyes did not move. Who sent you with bomb? He asked. My own decision, she said. The emperor coughed yesterday in my rooms. Which maid opened the screen, he said. I did, she answered. It was heavy and stuck. A short answer can carry weight. What did you see on the curtain ring? Empress Fang asked. A rope, consort N said. Thin, dark, wrapped twice. Her voice stayed even. I did not touch it. Commandant, he lifted a length of cord from a tray. It had been cut from the curtain. Matron Chiu says storage issued this in the morning for bed repairs, he said. Supervisor Wei arranged the cut pieces. They match what we found. He set the cord down. Who tied this? Consort and did not look at the rope. I do not know, she said. We were not done with the rope. Search the pure palace, Empress Fang said. Rooms, chests, personal trays. Lin Yong bowed and left at once with 2 guards. Empress Fang faced consort and you will wait, she said. You will drink water and speak only when asked. At that same evening, a courier would run to the outer court with copies of these notes. But right now the room held still. Exactly a year earlier, I stood by the laundry vats with Shuer. Steam rose from the tubs. She scrubbed the Emperor's bed linen with both hands. She worked fast. She said very little. I had come to count cloth. She had asked for new rings for the bed curtain. The old ones stick, she said. They catch on the cord. I told her old Wren's story about a rope that can close a throat if two women pull in rhythm through a curtain ring. She listened. She did not smile. She only said, rings should be smooth. I signed the linen voucher and walked out. Back to the punishment office. Lin Yong returned. He set a box on the table. He opened it. Inside lay a plain hair ribbon, stained with oil, and a small cloth bag with crushed herbs. Found in a side chest, he said. Ribbon shows a rope burn. The bag smells of sleep draft. One ribbon is not a verdict, Empress Fang said. Who slept in your side room last week? Commandant, he asked consort and a maid named Lanin, she said. She had fever. I moved her from duty for 2 nights. Where is Lanin? He asked. In the infirmary, she said. Physician Su can confirm. This room would decide who burned. Empress Fang nodded once. We will speak to Lanin, she said. Now we return to the hall. She stood. We retraced the path. She looked at me. Yao Guang, you walk every step you took last night. We went back to the Hall of Eternal Longevity. The smell of salve and charcoal filled the air. The curtain hung open. The brazier had been replaced. Physician Su bowed and stepped aside. The Emperor slept with a cloth across his throat. His hand twitched once. Start at the door, Commandant, he said. I walked in. I stopped where I had stood with the ledger. I pointed to the brazier. Here, I said. The coals were bright. The screen blocked the side room. The maid stood by the bed. What drew your eye to the ring? He asked. The rope sat higher than before, I said. It was tight. The ring did not swing. I touched nothing. My mouth dried. My heart thumped against my ribs. What I dreaded was not the rope. We finished the walk. Empress Fang stood by the bedpost. She gripped the wood. She looked at the ring. Bring Shuer here, she said. Let her show the knot. Lin Yong fetched her. Shuer's wrists were bound. She stood straight. She stared at the ring. You want me to tie it, she said. I will. Who taught you this? Commandant, he asked. Old Ren taught Yao Guang, she said. Yao Guang taught me. She met my eyes. He told a story. I remembered. The room changed temperature. All eyes turned to me. Empress Fang did not blink. Is that true? She asked. It is, I said. I told a story about a rope. I did not tell her to use it. A line once spoken cannot be unsaid. Shuer lifted her hands. Lin Yong loosened her left wrist long enough for her to show the knot. She wrapped, pulled, and tucked. The ring held the cord firm. She did it quickly. The knot sat low and tight. Commandant, he watched her fingers. He nodded once. Lin Yong bound her wrist again. Return her, Empress Fang said. She faced me. You gave knowledge, she said. You did not give an order. The difference is thin. The difference cut both ways. At dawn the next day, after the attempt, I had told myself I saved a life when I knocked down the brazier. I believed that until this moment. Now I saw the chain with clear edges. I had passed a story to the wrong ears. I had signed a roster that put 2 pairs of hands beside a bed. I had eased one girl once, then left the book in the shape that sent her back. I had placed a stone at the top of a slope and told myself it would sit there. Back to the hall. Empress Fang dismissed us. We reconvene at the punishment office, she said. Then we speak to Lanin. She looked at me a long time. You will not leave my sight. We walked out. The corridor smelled of lime wash. The guard's boots clicked on the floor. Here is what I have not said until now. I set the night. I wrote the duty shift that placed Shuer on the bed team. I checked the taster's rotation so the boy would not get in the way. I told Shuer and the young maid about the curtain ring a month ago and showed them the rhythm with my fingers against a table. I did this because of the 2 rooms. I did this because I believed the Emperor would not stop. I thought a quiet night would end a louder pain. I did not tell them to kill him on that exact night. I did not hand them the rope. but I prepared the table and opened the screen. When the moment came, I could not hold to it. I saw his hand rise and heard the scrape under the bed. I knocked the brazier and shouted, "This is the secret I have carried. It could break a dynasty if spoken in the throne room. It ties my name to a rope and a sleeping ruler. It is the reason I look at my hands when I drink water." You asked why it felt inevitable. I will tell you. The due orders grew each season. The girls fainted and fell. The Daoist office pressed for more. The ledger turned into a map of harm. Aunt Zhao begged. Mingyu bled and kept standing. Each day added one more line I could not forgive. When Shua asked about the rings, I answered. When the roster needed bodies, I moved names. It felt like the only path left inside these walls. It felt inevitable because the palace had no doors for mercy that month. Now I speak this to you and no one else. Back to the corridor. Commandant, he walked at my shoulder. You hesitated when she named you, he said softly. I see that. I told a story, I said. I did not give a command. He nodded once. Stories carry orders. A bell struck from the east wing. It marked the hour for afternoon audiences. The sky had turned white. Snow would come by nightfall. Empress Fang raised her sleeve and pointed toward the infirmary. We still had to find Lanin. We reached the infirmary before the sun moved. The room held vinegar, camphor, and damp cloth. Physician Su waited by a screen. He nodded to Empress Fang. 2 light fevers. 1 sprain. 1 cut lip, he said. And Lanin. 1 breath would change her world. Lanin lay on a low bed. She was 18, a maid from the pure palace. She mattered now because the ribbon and the herb bag had come from her chest. Her hair was loose. Her wrist was banded from a tight tie. She tried to sit. The matron eased her up and stepped back. Lanin, Empress Fang said. Speak clearly. Tell us your last 3 days. Lanin wet her lips. 3 days ago, I swept the side room, she said. Consort and told me to rest there at noon. I had fever. She sent broth. That night I slept in the side room again. The next day I fetched balm. I tied the screen open for air. Commandant, his eyes stayed on her mouth. Who gave you the herb bag? He asked. Matron from the Pure Palace stores, she said. For sleep. I took 2 pinches. I did not go to the hall. Her next word would crown or kill. Who tied the rope on the ring? Empress Fang asked. I did not, she said fast. I saw it tied when I brought balm. Shua stood near it. The other maid held the tray. I touched nothing. Her gaze fell. I saw rope burns on my ribbon yesterday. I do not know how it caught. Commandant, he set the ribbon on the bed. Where were you when the brazier fell? He said. Behind the screen, she said. I stepped back from the smoke. Consort and told me to stay still. She called for the guard. Exactly a year earlier, I had stood in this same room, counting jars. A maid with a strain at the wrist stared at the ceiling and breathed through her teeth while Su rubbed balm into the tendon. He told me to stack the cups. I did and said nothing. I learned the names of pain and how fast they leave a face when the door opens. Back to the infirmary. Empress Fang looked at Physician Su. Is the sleep herb what we found? She asked. Su sniffed the cloth bag. Poppy shell mixed with date pit, he said. A small dose. Enough to rest. Not enough to hide a crime. Then we move, she said. She turned to Lanin. You will remain here under guard. No visitors. No notes. If you remember more, send word at once. We returned to the punishment office. Snow started in small grains, soft on the stone. Lin Yom shook it off his shoulders and barred the door. The room breathed cold. Consort and waited on a bench. She did not look up when we entered. Consort, Empress Fang said, your maid Lanim confirms you called for the guard and told her to stay. She says she did not tie the rope. Do you add anything? No, your majesty, Consort said. I did as I said. Then hear this, Empress Fang said. Until judgment, you are confined. Your meals are measured. Your letters stop. A quiet verdict can hit hardest. Commandant, he spread 3 sheets of names. Next, he said, the Daoist office. He tapped the header. Master Lu ordered younger girls for due. His clerk stamped lists without the Empress's seal. We must ask him under oath. Master Lu arrived within the hour. He wore gray silk and a bronze charm. He mattered because the emperor trusted his rights more than counsel. He bowed to Empress Fang and kept his eyes on the floor. Your Majesty, he said, I live to serve the rights. Then answer cleanly, she said. Why did you ask for younger girls? He touched the bronze charm. The emperor's breath was weak, he said. The right needs clear essences. The manuals say to balance heat with youth. His tone stayed smooth. We followed precedent. Whose precedent? Commandant, he said. Old court practice, Master Lu said. Recorded under your seal, Your Majesty. He paused. I did not enter the due quarters. I stamped lists. I did not see the faces. Words can hide hands. Empress Fang's mouth tightened. From this moment, no lists leave your office without my signature, she said. Your clerk will sit under watch. You will remain in your apartments. She raised a hand at his protest. You hold rights. I hold lives. A messenger from the hall broke in with a bow. The emperor writes, he said. He wants the names of who touched the curtain. He held a strip of silk with one word, names. The emperor would not wait long. We returned to the hall of eternal longevity. The snow had thickened. It hissed on the brazier stones. The emperor sat propped with cushions. His throat was wrapped. His eyes were sharp. Physician Su placed a board on his knees and set out brush and paper. Empress Fang knelt and raised the list. She read without pause. Sure. Made second class without family name. Night taster. Consort and present. Yao Guang, scribe. Lin Yong, captain. Physician Su. Matrons 2. Commandant He. Clerk Jean from Daoist office. Supervisor Wei. Matron Chiu. She held the brush. He asks who touched the ring, she said to the room. The air pressed on my skin. Shuer lifted her chin. I did, she said. And the other maid. We pulled. She did not look away. The emperor wrote one character and pushed it forward. Kill. No one moved. Physician Su kept his eyes down. Lin Yong's jaw clenched. Empress Fang did not change. She spoke with care. Your Majesty, she said, we obey. But we must ask about the circle around them. We have a consort present and a Daoist chain. We must clear all ranks. The emperor wrote again. All. A single stroke can flood a court. Empress Fang stood. We will carry out the sentence at dawn, she said to the guard. Prepare the place. Keep the records exact. She turned to the emperor. I will bring the list of those who stand near the rope and those who sent girls to harm. She bowed and stepped back. His hand relaxed. He closed his eyes. We walked out into the corridor. The snow made the tiles slick. Lin Yom spoke first. Dawn, he said. We have the night to fix names. Fix meant bind. Commandant, he faced me. Yao Guang, he said, you will copy the list cleanly 6 times. You will attach seals. You will deliver one to the Empress, one to the embroidered guard, one to the clan office, one to the inner clerk, and 2 for the archive. He paused. You will also write your own line again under oath. He had seen my face when the brush wrote kill. At that same evening, Empress Fang called me into a small side room. A charcoal pan warmed the air. She closed the door. She stood 2 steps away. I will ask once, she said. Answer, and do not waste breath. Did you shape the night roster to place Shure at the ring? My tongue stuck. I forced air into my chest. Yes, I said. She held my eyes. Why? The do, I said. I could not watch another girl go. I tried to end it by ending him. The words left me. They did not return. Then I knocked the brazier. I could not hold. She did not move. You saved him, she said. You set the attempt, then you saved him. Both are true. She stepped closer. I have 2 jobs tonight. I must keep the emperor alive. I must keep the court from rotting. Your truth helps one job. It harms the other. She paused. Do you understand? I do, I said. She looked at the door. You will write what you told me and seal it. I will keep it under my cord. If I fall, the seal breaks. If I stand, it stays closed. She raised a hand. Tell no one you said this. This promise felt heavier than chains. I wrote the statement. My brush scratched. My wrist ached. I sealed the paper and pressed it into her palm. Her skin was cold. She tucked it beneath the jade cord and turned away. Lin Yong called from the corridor. "The place is ready," he said. "The snow is steady. We can clear the yard." We stepped into the cold. The punishment office yard had been swept. Torches burned low to save oil. The boards for binding lay clean. The barrel was full. Shuer stood between two guards. The young maid stared at the ground. Consort and watched from behind a lattice under guard. Master Lu's clerk sat on a stool with cords around his sleeves. Supervisor Wei held his hands in his sleeves and shook. Dawn would carry names into the ground. 3 months later, people would speak about this night in the kitchens. They would lower their voices at the word rope. They would look away when a matron passed. The Daoists would keep their charms, but step softer. I did not see that yet. I saw only snow and breath. At dawn the next day, Empress Fang said, "We read the sentences. We close one circle. No new names after the bell." She turned to me. "Yao Guang, stand by the boards. You will record the last words." I took my place with brush and paper. My fingers were numb. My teeth tapped in my jaw. The sky lightened from black to gray. The drum at the Meridian Gate struck the first note of the Tiger Watch. The guards raised their heads. Empress Fang touched the seal cord. Commandant, he stepped forward and unrolled the list. The night ended on wood and ice. The yard took the light like a cut. Snow hissed on the torch heads. Boards lay ready. I stood with my brush. Empress Fang unrolled the list. Lin Yong gave a short nod. Commandant, he set his feet in the slush and looked at the sky, then at me. The drum left no room to hide. "Sure," Empress Fang said. "Last words." Her voice carried across the yard without force. She did not need force. Shuer lifted her head. Her hair stuck to the rope bruise at her throat. She did not bow. She looked at me. "Write this," she said. "We pulled because the do rooms never end. Tell the girls I did not break when it mattered." She turned her face toward the Empress. "Your Majesty, close those rooms." I wrote every syllable. "Lay her down," Commandant, he said. 2 guards eased her onto the board. Snow creaked under boots. She did not fight. Lin Yong wrapped the cord. He pulled clean and steady. Shua's chest rose once, then twice, then stopped. The snow still hissed on the torches. "Watch what a cord can decide." "Second maid," Empress Fang said. The young one shuffled forward. Her knees shook. She tried to speak and failed. I dipped the brush. "Family name?" I asked softly. "Lu," she whispered. "Lu Mei." She swallowed. I wanted him to sleep. I wanted the girls to stop crying at night. She looked past me at the gate. "Tell my mother I worked hard." I wrote, "Worked hard." Ink bled at the tail of the D. Lin Yong tied the cord. He looked away when he pulled. Her body jerked, then settled. The boards did not shift. The torch nearest to me spat a wet ember and went out. Lin Yong did not let go until it was done. He had done this before. One breath would redraw the court. Empress Fang bowed her head once, a fraction. Commandant, he checked the knots and spoke to the clerk. "Record time," he said. The clerk muttered the note, rolled his brush between his fingers, and marked the strip. I wiped my nib on the rag and set the paper flat so it would not curl. No new names passed the gate. The yard held still except for the barrel drip. Consort and watched from behind the lattice. She did not cry. Master Lu's clerk stared at his boots. Supervisor Wei shifted his weight from foot to foot and did not raise his eyes. Back to the punishment office. We warmed our hands over a small pan. Snow slid from the roof in sheets. "Empress Fang's Saturday sentences beyond the rope," she said. Her gaze moved from face to face. "We judge the circle now." The rope was not the only line. "Consortin, Commandant," he said, present at the scene and keeper of the side room. He looked to the Empress. "Confinement without letters," Empress Fang declared. 3 months. Removed from the T-Rota. After that, return under watch. She held the consort's stare. "You did not tie. You did not stop. That is your weight." Master Lu's clerk, Commandant, he continued. "Stamp without seal. 50 blows and dismissal to the outer store," the Empress said. "He leaves the Daoist office today. He does not stamp anything again." Supervisor Wei, he said. "Runner between lists." 20 blows, she said. Docked pay removed from stores, assigned to night watch of drains for 1 year. Matron Chiu, commandant, he said. Sent names without seal. Demotion, she said. She writes nothing until I sign it. She carries buckets for 1 month. Empress Fang's jaw set. Any list that leaves her table without my cord will put her on the boards. The ledger still waited for me. Yao Guang, commandant, he said. His voice did not harden, but it did not soften. Scribe of the night, you place the names. You saved the emperor. Both stand. All eyes turned. I tasted the winter air in my mouth. I accept your judgment, I said. The words dried as soon as they left me. Empress Fang spoke. Removal from night duty, she said. You write day rosters only. You do not enter the hall of eternal longevity for 1 year. You live and you hold your ink straight. Her eyes did not move. Any slip and I open what you sealed with me. I bowed. Yes, your majesty. At dawn the next day, the emperor sent a silk strip. Done. He did not ask for more names. Physicians who said his throat would heal. He would carry the mark under his collar. He would drink warm pear broth and avoid incense for a season. He would pray longer. He would trust fewer. Exactly a year earlier, I had met old Ran at the charcoal pan and joked about a loose hinge. He had told me to oil it or the whole door would shout. Small fixes stop big noise, he said. He was wrong in part. Some doors are built to shout. Back to the Duke quarters. 3 months later, Empress Fang visited without escort. She wore plain wool. The yard smelled of soap and whetstone. Mingyu folded cloth on a bench. Her lip had healed. Ansha wrung a rag and blinked fast when the Empress approached. Empress Fang spoke only one line. No girls under 16 enter the do rooms. She turned to Matron Chiu. Read that back. Chiu did. Good, the Empress said. Post it. She left before anyone could kneel. The line held for a time. It held because her seal sat on the door latch. Promise became rule. Rule bent harm, but it did not end it. At that same evening, I carried a stack of clean rusters to Commandant He. He poured tea for both of us and set 1 cup near my hand. Your ink is straight, he said. Keep it so. He looked at my fingers. You still shake at dawn? Some dawns, I said. He nodded. That means you still listen. At dawn 1 year later, Empress Fang sent for me in a quiet corridor. She stood alone, as if she had been there a long time. She returned the sealed paper to my hands. The wax sat unbroken. Keep it, she said. If I fall, burn it. If I stand, keep it shut. Her gaze was direct. Do not make me use it. Do not make me think about it. Serve clean. Why give it back? I asked. Because a court rots on secrets, she said, and survives on a few of them. She turned away. I choose this one to live. Back to the present breath in my chest. You asked what it means to hold guilt and mercy in the same hand. I cannot answer for anyone else. I can answer for me. I set the roster that placed a rope within reach. I knocked a brazier and kept a man alive. I watched 2 women die because I had taught them how a ring can carry a pull. I wrote the last words that asked the Empress to close a door. She did a little. It is not enough. It was what we had. Do you judge me on the rope or on the brazier? On the margin note that moved a girl, or on the margin I did not write fast enough? On the sealed paper I gave to a woman who held a court together with a straight back and a cold hand? I do not know which ledger you keep in your head. This is the line I can live with. I acted, then I could not bear my own action, and I stepped back. That is the shape of my name. One last thing before I bow out. If you listen at night in the inner court, you can still hear a small rub at the curtain ring where the cord once sat. It is not loud. It is enough for those who know. Hold the ink straight, Aldrin said. He was right in the end. I said a night and broke it myself. If you want another truth from inside these walls, say the word and I'll open a new ledger.